Apple disclosed that their most recent keynote event was shot entirely on iPhone 15. So how'd they do that? And more importantly, why? Well, they released a behind-the-scenes look at how they made it, which you might guess got a lot of people talking. To some, this move is just a typical Apple flex, but to me, it's a snapshot of the future. I think when Apple is willing to push its own tech to the limits, they're giving us hints as to where they're headed. First, we need a better app to capture with. That's where Blackmagic comes in with the camera app they launched last September. Here we have total control over lenses, frames per second, shutter, ISO, white balance, and tint. Next, we need a high-quality record format. Apple recently added ProRes to iPhone, which is available as a record format using the Blackmagic camera app in 4K 10-bit sampling. But ProRes 4K files are really big, so we need a way to record them. That's solved with the new USB-C port, which supports bus-powered external drives. Next, we need more dynamic range out of the sensor. Apple released Apple Log, which we can choose to record with, but while Log helps dynamic range, it's unpleasant to monitor. Thankfully, the Blackmagic camera app supports custom LUTs, so I asked my friend colorist Ian Verdevec at Light Iron to create a custom LUT based on Apple Log as the input. Next, we need proper monitoring. With a USB-C adapter, we can connect an HDMI port. Then I convert that to SDI so I can do a proper output to an onboard SDI monitor. I'm using the Small HD 702 and loop that through to a Teradek Bolt 3000 XT for a wireless signal to Video Village. Blackmagic supports several external monitor configurations, including cleaned or framed overlay, which is ideal. And lastly, we need control over focus. The Blackmagic camera app supports external devices, and we can use a tilt-a-nucleus to control the focus over Bluetooth. Now, one thing the iPhone doesn't have is iris control. Most smartphones use shutter speed to control exposure. That's where B-Script comes in with their Beast Cage, which gives us quarter 20 mounts that allow us not only to protect the camera, but to put it on a riser so that it can be configured with a proper matte box. To operate all this smoothly, we need a good tripod head. So I'm using an O'Connor 2575 with an airy dovetail base plate. I used some old 19mm brackets from my Red 1 camera to mount the accessories. I set up the matte box, riser, and cage as the base. All of this gets wired to an Anton Bauer Gold mount, which has a D-tap and USB-A port. So I'm able to power this entire thing off a single 90-watt-hour battery for hours. A little cable management and, well, like I said, it looks a little weird, but what you're seeing here is a camera rig that shoots ProRes 4K and Log, and it can live on a Mitchell mount for sticks and sliders. Now, I realize marrying these accessories together on an iPhone seems odd, and to some of you probably pointless, but this could be an early snapshot of the next era of videography. Our goal was to just treat it like a cinema camera the whole time.
My strategy to start out lighting for the day is to start with the iPhone, look through the iPhone screen for everything with the Blackmagic app, then we switched over to the cinema cameras. There's times where I'm looking at the monitor and lighting and forgetting that I'm on the iPhone. It just feels like I'm looking through any cinema camera.
I feel pretty confident in saying this is the biggest leap in smartphone cinema to date. What I'm most impressed with is how our rig and Video Village configuration allowed us to just work normally. With the right talent, the right equipment, and the right software, we can inch smartphones a little closer to the cinematic arena. If you want to be a filmmaker, shooting a movie on an iPhone should not be your end goal. But if a smartphone is all you have access to, then it's the ideal place to start.